Hey, what's up? It's Dave from MomSimplyADad.com, and you're watching the Happy Healthy Family Podcast. Wendy, it is my absolute honor to welcome you to the Happy Healthy Family Podcast.
Thanks so much for having me.
And I'm super excited to have Wendy on the show today. She's pretty much a rock star in my world. And unless you're brand new to the natural functional medicine community / lifestyle, you know exactly who Wendy Myers is. And personally, I've been listening to Wendy. I've just told you this. I've been listening to you and your Myers Detox podcast since back when it was still the Live to 110 podcast.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, it was one of probably the first podcasts I ever started listening to. You and Bulletproof. I think Josh Axe had a podcast back then. It's been a long time, but so I have you to kind of thank for helping build that love of podcasts and eventually starting this podcast. So
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. I love podcasts too. I listen to tons of podcasts also.
What's your favorite? Aside from yours, of course.
I like Dave Asprey's a lot, and I like Chris Kresser's podcast too, and I like Scott Forsgren.
He does a great job. He really does.
He does a good job. Yes. What's the name of that podcast
Better
again?
Health Guy.
Better Health Guy. Yeah, I don't know. It slipped my mind, but yeah, it's he's got a good podcast too.
Yeah. So we have Bulletproof is Dave Asprey's for you guys out there who don't know, and Chris Kresser, I believe, is Revolution Health Radio. I think is his, and then of course Scott is Better Health Guy, and Scott actually just shared on my most recent episode. So thank you for that, Scott, if you're listening. He's actually answered a couple of questions since I started my podcast for me, so he's been a big help. He seems like a good dude. But so Wendy Myers, let me give you a little intro. She is a functional diagnostic nutritionist. Did I get that right?
Yes.
And she's basically an expert in detoxification, which we've been talking a lot about lately. And of course, heavy metal detox is her specialty. But we're not here to talk about that. She is here to discuss one of her favorite tools to support detox, and our health and healing is also one of my favorite tools. And today, Wendy and I are going to dive into everything you did not want to know about coffee enemas. Yes. And we're going to answer all the questions you didn't really know you had.
We're going to get down and dirty.
And you notice I stole that line from one of your older podcast episodes?
Totally. It's a good line. It's good.
It is. I might title that. Well, you already had. I think it was like episode 20 something. That was your title.
Yeah.
So. I'll have to come up with my own unique thing.
Yeah.
But so before we dive in, do you have any idea who came up with coffee enemas? Who decided it was a good idea to shoot coffee up our bum? And that it would be healthy for us.
I do not know. But, Max Gerson was, a big player in the Gerson therapy protocol for cancer, really probably helped popularize it quite a bit, where they recommend doing 4 to 6 coffee enemas a day for people who have cancer. Not appropriate for relatively healthy people or people that have, a health condition that's maybe not life-threatening. But if you have cancer, you need to get, the body detoxing, the liver working, and try to get out as many toxins that are burdening the immune system as possible.
Yeah, I think I heard something about it was World War I, maybe, that the nurses, there was always coffee around, and there something about before people had to have surgery or something like that. And so they noticed that people, after they gave them a coffee enema, would handle the pain of surgery better. So perhaps that's the origin. I don't know.
They're amazing for pain. I mean, they do. I use them if I have pain. I mean, I do them on a regular basis, but if I have menstrual cramps or I have a headache or just something is going on, I do a coffee enema and it reduces it or eliminates it. So it's something that I have in my toolbox whenever I have some uncomfortable symptoms like that. So I'm sure there's some nurse somewhere back in the day that it discovered that as well.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into the detox part of it. So why are coffee enemas so important to incorporate into our detox protocol or just our regular health routine, I guess?
Well, for many people that are looking to detox, detox heavy metals and chemicals that we're exposed to every day in the air, food, and water, a lot of people's bottleneck is the liver because the liver is, its job is to break all this stuff down, break all these toxins down, take out the trash, and it's just really not equipped to deal with the 100,000 estimated chemicals and the dozens of heavy metals that are in our environment. And we've got to optimize liver functioning as much as possible. And not only that, if you're doing a detox program or you're doing infrared saunas or you're taking chelators or natural or synthetic substances that pull metals out of tissues, out of fat and brain and bone and whatnot, and all this stuff is floating around, you have to open up the detox pathways where metals exit the body as much as possible, or stuff is going to float around and maybe perhaps redistribute and land somewhere else because it doesn't have an exit route. So coffee enemas are a great way to help kind of almost work like a sponge on the liver to wring it out so that it can get the next batch of toxins. And then you do another coffee enema, you kind of wring out the liver and it gets to the next batch and the next batch. And it just is a great way to mechanically, physically purge the liver to facilitate detoxification.
And so, yeah, so coffee does like a number of different things for the liver and to support the detox. One of the things it does is increase the bile, which of course, is sort of like the body's master binder kind of. And we
Yes.
talked with Dr. Kelly Halderman last week about Detox 2.5 and how, we got to get the toxins through the door and into the bile. And so do you want to just talk about the bile and maybe some other ways, other things that coffee does to help support the liver?
Yes, yeah, so absolutely bile production is so important for detoxification because bile is the best binder on the planet. I talked about people need to take binders whenever they're doing a detox, but we also need to maximize bile production because bile basically, cleans the gut and, the various ways we absorb heavy metals in the bile. And then that gets taken to the liver. And then, the phase 2 detox pathway, we, detox the bile. The liver takes the toxins from the bile out of the body. But a lot of people don't make enough bile. And so we don't have the raw materials, the raw building blocks to make bile. So doing a coffee enema helps to kind of like shock the liver. It's kind of like a hermetic effect where it helps the body to produce more bile. And then you have more of that binder that we need to facilitate detoxification. Other ways to increase bile production are eating bitter foods like coffee. I mean, even if you drink coffee orally through your mouth, that's a great way to increase bile production. Other bitter foods are like lemon, beets, artichokes, lots of other foods that help to produce bile. Even taking Swedish bitters helps to make bile, and you can also take ox bile supplements. That can help too. But also a lot of liposomal supplements have something called PC, phosphatidylcholine, and that's a building block to make bile. It's what bile is made of. So any of your liposomal supplements that you're taking, you're also increasing bile production.
So with the bitter foods, you have to taste the bitterness, right? It's not just like taking it down. So you can't, like your coffee, you can't go to Starbucks and get the same and get like a mocha frappuccino. It's basically a chocolate ice cream.
It doesn't count. No, it doesn't count.
That doesn't help stimulate the bile. So
No. Yeah, because your body, when your tongue, let's for instance, taste certain things, that starts to produce certain digestive enzymes and bile and other kind of digestive juices in our digestive tract. So it needs to be bitter.
and
To
so
stimulate.
does staying on the bile for a second. If you have like sort of thick, sluggish bile, does the coffee sort of help it thin out, or does it just like produce more and more that it just kind of forces the old stuff out?
I don't really know the answer to that question. I just know that doing coffee enemas helps to produce more bile. But definitely if you take ox bile supplements, that does help to thin it out. But I honestly don't know the answer to that question. There's not a ton of research on
Right.
coffee enemas that answers specific questions like that. But we may be able to presume that it does thin out the bile.
Interesting. Yeah, it just kind of popped into my head as you were talking because when we were talking, I mean, I mentioned Dr. Kelly Halderman already, but like it was all about bile. Bile, I'm learning, is pretty much the holy grail to health and wellness. And so if you have thick bile, you're pretty much not healthy. So
Yeah,
it
yeah.
just kind of popped into
Yeah,
my head as we were talking.
yeah, and if you have thick bile, people are more prone to gallstones, so they need
Hmm.
to do things to thin out the bile. And I just give people like ox bile or phosphatidylcholine, and that really helps a lot. But yeah, Swedish bitters are also really helpful. Dr. Chris Shade has some
Hmm.
liposomal bitters,
Yeah.
even better, kills two birds with one stone. So that's a popular thing that I recommend to clients also.
Gotcha. And so another thing that the coffee does for, I guess it's not really for the liver, but it's more for detoxification, is it kind of helps with glutathione. And glutathione, does it help with glutathione production, or does it sort of make the glutathione more efficient?
No, it actually increases glutathione production. There's one study that showed that it increases glutathione by 600%.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so that's really, really important because, I recommend glutathione to clients or NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine, which helps, to produce glutathione. It's a basic building block, raw material to make glutathione. But when people are doing detoxification or say they live in a really toxic environment or have a toxic job like in manufacturing or something or whatnot, we use up a lot of glutathione. So even though you're supplementing with it, you can use all of it up in the whole process of detox. So anything you can do to increase glutathione production is helpful. And glutathione is that master antioxidant that we need to take out the trash. So in phase one, liver detox, we're just breaking down chemicals and toxins. In phase two, we are, taking out the trash. The liver's trying to exit them from the body, and glutathione is what's used to do that. So you need glutathione to be able to, take out the trash from your body. So you have to do everything you can to maximize production, and coffee enemas are a great way to do that.
All right, so we increase our bile by doing coffee enema, and we increase our master antioxidant glutathione. Is there anything else that coffee can do for our livers, or for just, I guess, what are the benefits? What are the other benefits of doing a coffee enema?
Well, you feel better, when you do them. I mean, I feel like $1,000,000 after I do one. It's not, occasionally I don't feel so great afterwards. Every coffee enema is different, but for the most part, in the majority of the time, I feel really, really good. You have clearer thinking. I'll usually do one before I do podcasts because I just feel like my thoughts form better. I speak better. My mind is just clearer when I do one. And that could be the caffeine effect, but I don't feel that as much when I drink coffee. I
Yeah.
don't feel as clear thinking when I drink it orally as when I do a coffee enema. And also, it helps to reduce detox symptoms. So, a lot of people that are doing a detox program and they're really kind of pushing the envelope where they're taking lots of substances to remove metals and are in an active detox, maybe doing frequent infrared saunas, really, really helpful to reduce detox symptoms by doing a coffee enema.
Yeah. So I can definitely attest to the nice feeling you get at when you're after you do a coffee enema. Like, it's almost uplifting. It's
Hey,
hard
you're
to describe,
buzzing.
but
You're
it's
buzzing
just
a little bit.
I sometimes I do it just because I'm cranky.
Yeah, yes, I'll do it when I'm cranky too. I will do it if I feel kind of like irritable or maybe have, angry Alice is coming out or I feel depressed. Maybe sometimes, we all have a down day or feel maybe a little depressed
Yeah.
and do a coffee enema and it takes care of that.
Yeah, it really does. It's wild how that works, but it really does. It's one of the things that you just do, and it's probably like the only thing you can do, like, and works that quickly, and it
Yeah.
just sort of uplifts you and completely changes your day.
Yeah, because I have little things in my toolkit where if I'm maybe just not feeling that great, I just want to do something to flip the switch and change my state. And so I have that's coffee enemas is one of the things in my toolkit that I'll use. So other things are like getting a massage or you can I'll occasionally once a month maybe have a glass of wine, but I want to turn to healthier things
Yeah.
to change my state. And so I know a lot of people at the end of their day, they're having a glass of wine or smoking marijuana or whatever it is that they're doing to relax and change their state, whether they feel kind of stressed out at the end of their day or what have you. There's a lot of different things you can do that are healthy to change your state.
Yeah. So you had mentioned doing a sauna, or if you do like frequent saunas and things that help you detox. So we had just actually gotten our Therasage, portable sauna, and I've been doing it for a couple of weeks. And so I'm just curious, sort of your opinion on like when should you do a coffee enema? Should you do one before you do the sauna? Should you do one after? Does it matter?
Yeah, so it's great to do a coffee enema after an infrared sauna because what's good is when you are, say, taking a detox supplement that mobilizes or chelates or grabs onto metals and pulls them out of tissues, or you're doing an infrared sauna that does the same thing. It starts pulling toxins out of fat, or the cells kind of start purging toxins out of the cells and out of the fat and other areas, storage sites, because of the heat and that hormetic stress effect from an infrared sauna. And then there's all this garbage floating around in your blood system, in your bloodstream, that the body then is like, okay, great, now I have to deal with this.
Right.
And we want to maximize the body's ability to purge that stuff so it can find an exit from our body. And a lot of people have issues with their detox pathways. Maybe their kidneys not working so good, their liver's not working so good. They can be doing an infrared sauna, but their skin is congested, or they don't sweat very well. It's you kind of have to train your body to sweat when you're doing an infrared sauna. It doesn't happen right away for a lot of people. And there's a lot of people, maybe some people's lymph is really stagnant. There's just a lot of different things that can throw a wrench in people's detox. So doing a coffee enema is a great thing to do after an infrared sauna or after you've taken a detoxification supplement to be able to assist the body to, process these toxins.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. So I actually had this question, for later, but I'll go ahead and ask it now since it's already half answered. So if I wanted to do like a detox circuit, sort of, so I have a sauna and we do the ion cleanse foot bath and then we do coffee enema. So should I do like sauna, ion cleanse, coffee enema, or ion cleanse, sauna? Like, does it matter? Like, what's sort of like the circuit that would be best?
I love that. Yeah, I just had thoughts of doing like the training circuit at the gym. I have like a little training circuit at my house too for detox.
Oh yeah?
The detox circuit. Yeah. So so with the ionic foot baths, and I only recommend the AMD ion cleanse for that. Or Dr. Klinghardt also has a nice one as well on his website. But that's Dietrich Klinghardt. But
I thought Klinghardt used AMD, the ion cleanse.
He has his own,
Huh.
but I think it's only sold in the UK. From my
Okay.
But things are always changing.
Gotcha.
He might not have that anymore, but I know he probably recommends the AMD for people in the US because, like I said, I think it's only sold in the UK on a website there. But as far as the ion cleanse foot baths, when you use those, that the toxins don't come out in the water like what people think so
Right.
much. It's more that you have increased urinary output of metals 2 to 3 days following doing a foot bath. So I don't think it really matters when you do a foot bath in a certain order in relation to a sauna or a coffee enema. So I do that whenever you like, whenever it seems, because I like doing those like when I'm watching TV or something. I'll do mine I'm just sitting there, so I might as well do something productive, multitask.
Right.
Detox multitasking is the name of my life. So
That's your next podcast.
And so I would probably do the infrared sauna and then the coffee enema and then the ion cleanse whenever it feels right to you. But sometimes, we're all busy. We don't have all day to detox.
Right.
So I usually tell people to do, just do one thing at a time, or one thing per day. So do a sauna or a coffee enema, and just fit things in when you can. Because I get super busy. I mean, I was, really committed to detoxification for many, many years, several years. And now because I put in that work, I don't have to do it as intensely. I just have like a maintenance program I'm doing, but I try to do at least one thing a day, whether it's a sauna, a coffee enema, or an ion cleanser, just something where I'm doing a daily detox lifestyle. And I think that's really what people need to be, adding to their health regimen. Because I felt like I was super healthy at one point in my life. I was eating an amazing diet. I was taking high quality supplements and a hell of a lot of them at one point, thinking I'm super healthy and, exercising on a very regular basis, 3 or 4 times a week, and trying to sleep, lived a low stress life, but I still wasn't feeling well. I still had a lot of issues that I hadn't had in the past, even given the super healthy lifestyle. So my message to people is they need to be thinking and adding a detox strategy, something they're doing focused on detox on a daily basis, thinking of detox as a lifestyle, not something they do for a month, a year, or a 10-day detox in a box, or a 3-day juice cleanse,
Right.
or things like that. You have to be, we're exposed to toxins every single day. You've got to be thinking about, something you're adding to your already healthy lifestyle in regards to detox.
Let's see, what was I saying? Detox. So making time to detox. So I actually wake up early. I wake up at 5 a.m. every morning and do sort of a miracle morning kind of thing, but it's also sort of my miracle detox morning. Are you familiar with the miracle morning at all?
No, I'm not.
It's a it's a book by Hal Elrod. I think it's several years old now. Basically, it's about you wake up earlier so that you can have dedicated time to yourself, basically. And he has a thing where it's like he does the lifesaver. So it's like basically it's time to meditate and read and like improve yourself, and it's time that you set aside to yourself to like set your day up for success, sort of thing.
Yes, yes.
And so yeah, I was doing
I
like
do that by sleeping. Well, it's sleeping in is like 7 a.m. for me, so I
oh
don't know.
well,
I
yeah.
probably do have a miracle morning without being aware of it.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much kind of my main job is stay at home dad, and so my wife leaves for work at 6:30, so I get up at 5 so that I can be ready. It also helps me, my son has pretty severe autism, and many times he's on and like I need to be on to meet him. And so it
Yes.
helps me to wake up earlier so that I can be more awake, because it does take me a little while to get up for my brain to perk up. But so I would do my sauna, and then I do my coffee enema, and then while I was doing my coffee enema, I'd meditate, and while I'm in the sauna, I read. So I have that sort of miracle detox morning. I should think of another M instead of detox, but
That's amazing. You're putting me to shame
uh,
here.
well,
But I used to do that. I did. I used to, get up really early and do the coffee enema and sauna. It was amazing. It was
yeah.
amazing.
I mean, it really does help, like wake me up, and then I'll take a cold shower or stuff like that. Just to wake me up and try to get me ready for the day. I mean, really, it's all about health and trying to get myself ready for the day. It's out of necessity, really.
It's
'Cause
survival.
I'm probably where you were a few years ago, so
Yeah, yeah.
that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. But so I want to ask this one more before we go back to coffee enemas. You said you have your own sort of detox circuit.
Yes, yeah, I do. So here's what I do. When I wake up in the morning, in the past, when I was doing a really intense detox regimen, I wake up early and do an infrared sauna and a coffee enema. But now I've kind of toned things down. I don't have as intense a detox protocol as I used to. I'm on more of a maintenance schedule. So what I do is I'll wake up 3 days a week. I do a coffee enema at some point within a couple hours of waking up. More importantly, I will take a lot of different supplements. I'll take mitochondrial enhancing supplements because you need energy to detox. I'll take my personal products. They're CitraCleanse, which is a binder and has some fulvic acid in it, and cilantro and activated silica, which is a silica that removes metals that interfere in mitochondrial energy production. Our mitochondria make our body's energy. And the number one name of the game in healing and detox is energy. You have to have energy to be able to detox and heal your body. It's a very energy intensive process. So that's one thing I focus on with my Myers detox protocol. I also take lots of minerals. I take the fulvic acid. I'll take oceans alive, marine phytoplankton. I take something else called healthy salt. I put that in all of my water. It's a 25% minerals, whereas like Himalayan sea salt's 1% minerals. Oh, so wow. That's also really important. Hydration. You have to be properly hydrated to detox and to be healthy. It's the foundation of health, is to be hydrated. A lot of people make a lot of mistakes in that department and suffer from it. So that's kind of my regimen. And then I usually do my infrared sauna at night. I usually do it about 2 to 3 times a week now, but I like to do that before I go to bed because it's very relaxing for me. Other people, it's very stimulating. So infrared saunas have different effects on different people. So I do it in the evening because I like to do it before I go to bed and relax me. So that's pretty much what I do. And then I do the ion cleanse probably a couple times a week when I'm watching television. And I do a lot of walking to get lymph going, my lymph flowing. So I'll go walking about 3 times a week because that stimulates the lymph flow, which you need to carry toxins out of your body. And I do strength training a few times a week. And I do that in the morning, Pilates or weightlifting. And so that's pretty much my regimen for as far as detoxification is concerned.
Gotcha. Sounds pretty good. I think I need to get better at the exercise portion of it, but we joined the gym, so at a certain point I'll start going.
It's hard to make time. It is.
Yeah. Okay, so back to the coffee enemas. So we increase our bile. Basically, we clean out our liver and our gallbladder, I guess. We boost our glutathione, and as you would imagine, coffee enemas sort of are good for constipation. Let me ask you this, as far as constipation. I've noticed that sometimes I'll be backed up, and I'll do a coffee enema, and I still feel backed up, and I don't really release anything. Do you have any idea, what's going on there?
Yeah, sometimes people are dehydrated, and when they do a coffee enema, it will absorb all the liquid. And then you need that liquid to, the fecal matter to exit the body. So sometimes you just need more liquid. You just need to add more because I definitely noticed that, this is getting really graphic here, but, that you'll release more liquid than other times. And sometimes for whatever reason, your body just, you're so constipated, your body just can't pass some fecal matter. So you just have to kind of keep trying. Sometimes people have different ways of doing a coffee enema. Some people will fill up once and evacuate once. And they're like, oh, I'm done. But I do it 5 times. I fill up, evacuate, fill up, evacuate, fill up, evacuate, do it 5 times so that I want to make sure I'm clean as a whistle, totally cleaned out. So maybe you just need to fill up with coffee and evacuate more than once or twice. And sometimes for me, my barometer is I just fill up an entire coffee enema bucket. It's about a 4-quart enema bucket. And I just, when I'm done filling up and evacuating with that 4 quarts, then my coffee enema is over. But mine takes like an hour. So other people just want to do one and done. So it just really depends on what works for you. Everyone's a little bit different in the amount of time they want to allot or what have you, or how long they can or want to hold in the coffee before they evacuate. Some people have a hard time holding the coffee. So I address a lot of these little tips and tricks. I have directions on myersdetox.com. You can type in coffee enema, and we have articles like how to do a coffee enema and instructions on how to do a coffee enema and why on earth you would want to do a coffee enema, and a couple of podcasts too that can help steer people in the right direction.
Cool. And I'll definitely link to those in the show notes, which of course is at simplyadad.com/Wendy. But why coffee as opposed to, water or, some type of other liquid?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So, water is great, but you can put water inside. You do like colon hydrotherapy. There's lots of places you can go to do colon hydrotherapy, but really that results in just cleaning your colon out of fecal matter, which is great for some people. But the goal of a coffee enema is we want the caffeine in the coffee to travel up the portal vein to the liver to kind of shock the liver into dilating all those millions of capillaries to then excrete the liver's toxic contents into the intestines for elimination. You're not going to get that with water. So the goal of the coffee is to have that caffeine produce this detox effect in the liver. It's really not to clean out the colon, which what a lot of people think a coffee enema is for. You certainly get that result. That's a byproduct of doing a coffee enema, but the goal is really to detox the liver.
Gotcha. Okay, so have you ever heard of anyone having like a negative, almost like a Herx reaction or a detox reaction from just doing a coffee enema and like nothing else?
No, I haven't had people say have Herxheimer reactions or detox reactions from coffee enemas, but what can happen is if someone's really sensitive to caffeine, they are going to have more of a challenge doing a coffee enema. So some people, if you know who you are, if you're super sensitive to caffeine, coffee enemas may not be right for you. But what I urge people to do is to do a coffee enema, but you can use maybe just even an eighth a teaspoon of coffee in a whole 4-quart bucket, 4 quarts of water when you're brewing your coffee. Or maybe you need a half a teaspoon in 4 quarts of water, 4 liters of water. So it's not about how much coffee you use. It's about how much coffee can you use to stimulate an effect to detox your liver. So for some people, that's going to be a very, very small amount of coffee grinds. For me, what I do is my coffee that I drink in the morning, I just take those leftover coffee grinds and recycle them. I just boil them again to produce my coffee enema coffee. And so it's not going to be as strong as like fresh grounds, but I use super high quality coffee that's organic. Might as well just reuse those to do my coffee enemas. So there's always more coffee and caffeine in them in the ground. So that's what I do. But I also have Pure Life coffee enema coffee that I'll use sometimes if I just don't happen to have any grinds sitting around or someone cleaned the coffee pot, whatnot. So you can use specific coffee enema coffee as well. Those are great because they're a light roast and they've been roasted in a way that increases the caffeine content, increases palmitic acid that makes the coffee enema more effective. So that's why they have specific coffee enema coffees. But again, if you're sensitive to caffeine, you only have to use the amount that gets the response. And even then, even if some people use like the tiniest little amount, they just don't tolerate them for whatever reason, don't worry about it. It's not right for you. So you just need to work with your body where it's at and do the detox protocols that your body is ready to handle. And if you don't handle coffee enemas right now, once you kind of get your body in detox mode, maybe you're doing ionic foot cleanses or taking binders and you start cleaning up your body a little bit, opening up detox pathways better, you might be able to tolerate a coffee enema down the road. Your health status always changes. So it's one of those things I urge people to try again later when maybe their health has improved to see if it then works for them.
Interesting. That's crazy that some people can get the benefits just with, a fourth of a teaspoon. That's like such little amount of coffee, but I guess if you're that sensitive, you still get that liver cleansing benefits.
Yeah, you get this. You could get the same effect as me, who I use 2 heaping tablespoons of coffee, and you only need to use the amount that gives you the effect. Like some people take supplements, like some people need to take 2 capsules, and another person can only tolerate a quarter, but they get the same benefit.
Interesting. Okay, so let's sort of talk about some of the FAQs, the most common questions you get. But before we do that, if you're still listening, I guess that means your interest is piqued, and maybe you're not as scared or about coffee enemas.
Freaked out.
Yeah.
You're ready to try one.
And so if you're still on the fence, and I'm sure Wendy will agree with this, I encourage you just to give it a try, as Wendy's already said, actually. It's really one of the easiest, most accessible, like practical things. And doing a coffee enema doesn't sound practical, but it really is compared to some of the other things that you can do as part of your detox or your health regimen. So you don't need a doctor. You can do it right in your own house. Like it's one of those things, like we said, it makes a difference right away. So I would definitely tell you just to give it a try, get off the fence, and just try it once, maybe twice, because the first time is always a little awkward. But
yes, yeah, stop procrastinating. But yeah, there is a word of warning. Sometimes the first time or two is a little messy. Sometimes I definitely have had clients email me, yeah, the first one didn't work out so well and whatnot. But it takes a minute or two to get the hang of it. But I encourage people to do it more than the first time or two. Do it at least 3 or 4 times, and you'll get your rhythm. You'll kind of figure it out. But I have lots of tips and tricks on my blog post, How to Do a Coffee Enema, that helps answer a lot of questions regarding maybe problems people are having doing them.
And I will just say, those first couple of times, your breath is your friend. So just
Yeah.
take lots of deep breaths and it will pass.
This too shall pass.
Exactly. All right. So you said, let's talk about the equipment and the things that we need. You said you like to use a bucket. I prefer I think it's Seeking Health is the brand I use. It's like a silicone bag. Do you just use like a stainless steel bucket or?
Yeah. I have the Seeking Health stainless steel bucket because they're the only health company that sells them for whatever reason. Yeah. And there's other companies too, but they're probably one of the more well-known brands. But yeah, I like the stainless steel bucket just because it's easy to clean. I can clean the inside of it. I feel like I can sterilize it easier. But you can also sterilize a silicone bag, like pouring alcohol in it or hydrogen peroxide or what have you. But I like it's easier to fill up the bucket for me, and I can set it down on a surface. So for me, I just prefer that. But I also have a bag that I use that I will travel with. If I'm going on a long trip, I want to be able to still do my little coffee enemas. And so I have a bag for that purpose too. But I have all the equipment that people need. If you go to store.myersdetox.com and there's a type in coffee enemas, there's lots of resources for coffee enema bags and coffee and things like that and buckets.
Cool. All right. And so you hinted around the coffee that you use. I always kind of hear conflicting things. Like some people will recommend a dark roast, some people recommend a light roast. What do you recommend? Do you recommend the lighter roast?
I don't think it matters, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, it's just as long as it's organic, so that's really helpful. Some people are really sensitive to mold, so a mold-free coffee is going to be really important for them. I drink Purity coffee, and that's organic and mold-free, and so I'll just recycle that because it's pretty expensive. So I drink it, and like I said, I recycle the grounds, and rather than just throw them out, there's another purpose for them.
Yeah.
And I can continue drinking it throughout the day. Yeah. So so that's what I recommend. But like I mentioned before, the coffee enema specific coffees are light roast coffees. They're kind of just barely roasted, and that increases the caffeine and the palmitic acid in them, which makes the coffee enemas a little bit more effective as long as you're doing them. There's like Pure Life enema coffee. There's S.A. Wilson's coffee. These are coffee enema specific coffees, but I honestly don't really think that it matters. Just do a coffee enema. There's even green coffee beans, green coffee enemas, but I can't really attest personally to if that's really much more effective or a gimmick, but I prefer the roasted coffees.
Gotcha. Okay. Excuse me. And then another thing I often hear disagreements on is which side to lay on. Do you lay on your right side or your left side?
Well, your liver is on the right side, so theoretically you're supposed to lay on your your right side to, get that coffee kind of through your colon, up the descending colon and over the transverse colon, then down the descending colon or whatever order that's in. And then that helps to, theoretically, facilitate the coffee anymore, getting more coffee and caffeine to the liver. But I typically just lay on my back. I don't think I've never really had any kind of issue or feel like I'm not getting an effective coffee enema if I don't lay on my right side. But some people prefer to do that. So I think that, if you don't lay on the right side, probably going to be okay. I think you're still going to have a successful coffee enema. I think there's no way to avoid or anything that's going to impede the caffeine getting to your liver. So I think you're good either way, but laying on the right side theoretically is supposed to help.
Gotcha. Okay, so basically, don't worry about the details. Just do it and do it in a way that makes you comfortable.
Just do it.
Okay, so I have a couple more questions that maybe you may have not been asked before. So I like to do my coffee enemas first thing in the morning, like I said. But two things. We pretty much were dehydrated when we wake up in the morning, unless we wake up in the middle of the night and then down a bottle of water, which no one does. And the other thing is we do a lot of our detox at night. So my concern is that when I do a coffee enema, a lot of times I absorb the liquid because I'm dehydrated. Now, is that bad if I do it in the morning because my body's like, all the toxins have already gone through the liver and they're ready to get out? So if my body's absorbing the coffee, is it reabsorbing some of the toxins that have already been processed?
No, because the caffeine, the toxins aren't coming out through like immediately through your colon, so to speak. So the caffeine is working on your liver, it's dialing the capillaries, and then at some point, probably after you do the coffee enema, the toxins are being excreted into the colon for elimination. That's why it's a really good idea to take binders before you do a coffee enema to help clean out that bile and help the toxins exit. But I think people tend to like overthink it a little bit. I don't think that there's any sort of concern if you retain the liquid. It may be just a sign that you should probably be thinking more about hydration beyond just drinking more water. I think that a lot of people, are not drinking properly filtered water, or they're drinking properly filtered water and it's not structured, or they're not taking enough minerals to retain the water. So I solve that problem by, every glass of water that I drink spring water, and then I add to it Crystal Energy by Patrick Flanagan. You get it on Amazon. And then I add healthy salt to it, which helps to mineralize it and retain the water. And it's amazing. You go to the bathroom a lot less because you're actually retaining the water. It's actually hydrating your cells. And so if you're doing coffee enemas, you're retaining all the liquid. It's a sign. Just work on hydration.
Interesting. You said that was Crystal Energy by who?
Patrick Flanagan.
I have to look into that.
Yeah, it's
I've been worried about this whole hydration, and even though you're drinking constantly, you're not actually like hydrating your body.
Yeah, but how many times have you started drink water, and then it's just running right through? You feel like you have to go to the bathroom all day long if you're drinking 6 or 8 glasses of water, which you're supposed to drink. But like for me, I just felt like I had to go to the bathroom all the time. It drove me nuts, and it made me not want to drink water because I don't like that feeling. And there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way. Mercury can also cause people to make too much anti-diuretic hormone, or not make enough anti-diuretic hormone where they don't retain enough water because they don't make enough ADH. And so that can be a problem, but it really more so it's the hydration issue. And so I drink a lot less water and feel hydrated because of the things I do to treat my water. And I think reverse osmosis is the worst water that people can drink. And most of the alkaline waters, bottled waters sold, begin with a reverse osmosis water because it is pure. but there's no minerals in it, and the water structure is screwed up
Yeah.
by that filtration
And
process.
it's a little acidic too, right?
Yeah, so if you can drink reverse osmosis water, but I just like to start with spring water and then do my restructuring and remineralizing, and that it just makes all the difference in the world.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm definitely going to look into that. It makes me think of my son, who I mentioned earlier with autism, who just drinks constantly and pees constantly.
All day long. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we've been struggling trying to figure out how to get him to detox, like safely without having these nasty regressions and things like that. So I bet that's a big piece of the puzzle. So
Yeah, and that's what I use the healthy salt for also. You can get the healthy salt in my store, .myersdetox.com. You just search for healthy salt. But that also, because it's so concentrated in minerals, it's the most concentrated mineral salt I've ever found. And that helps to push metals out of the body also. It's amazing when clients start taking that, they're pushing way more metals out and they're having way less detox symptoms. It's the most natural thing on the planet to get these minerals that help make your body work, and they help to push out and displace metals as well. And people are a lot more comfortable when they kind of have this pre-tox they're doing where they're laying that foundation, mineralizing their body to get their body detoxing better.
interesting. So one more question, a couple more questions about coffee enemas, actually. Back to doing one first thing in the morning. So I know that coffee enemas can kind of have an effect on your blood sugar. So for those of us that try and intermittent fast, how does doing a coffee enema in the morning affect that?
Well, everyone is different in this regard. So some people, including myself, sometimes I'll do a coffee enema and it just wipes me out. I just have really low blood sugar. I feel kind of weak and sometimes shaky a little bit. And you can resolve that by eating before a coffee enema or eating after a coffee enema, preferably after you've washed your hands. And but the thing is, if you're doing intermittent fasting, you might want to, just experiment. And, if you have to break your fast, probably not the end of the world. But more importantly, you want to adhere to whatever diet strategy you're doing or detox protocol you're doing. But first and foremost, you have to listen to your body and what it's asking from you and then heeding that call. So if you're doing intermittent fasting and then you do a coffee enema and you get really, really shaky, it's up to you if you want to ride that out and, continue fasting, or if you want to give yourself just a little bite to eat so that you can get rid of that feeling of low blood sugar. But it is an issue, and a lot of times people feel like they're doing something wrong, or, oh, I did this coffee enema, I didn't feel good afterwards. You just have to be aware that sometimes more so than others, you'll get low blood sugar, and you just resolve that by eating a little something.
Interesting. Okay. So doing it doesn't really affect our digestion at all. So we can do it. We can eat before or after doing a coffee enema with no sort of icky feelings.
No. Sometimes I'll use it if I like, had too big of a meal. Like sometimes you have brunch with your family and you're like,
Yeah.
oh God, you're like really, really full. I'll do a coffee enema and I'll feel great afterwards because I'm not as full. It can help to kind of relieve that. Or sometimes people have, eat a food that they're sensitive to and they don't feel good, like they have constipation or they have gas or what have you. Doing a coffee enema can help relieve that digestive distress. So that's really, really helpful, especially people eating a lot of healthy foods and vegetable matter and beans and things like that. Hey, guess what? You get gas sometimes, and it can be really, really uncomfortable. And doing a coffee enema can help get rid of all the fecal matter that the microbes are eating to then produce all that gas. So it can be great because sometimes if you have a lot of gas, it can interrupt your sleep. Like you have trouble going to sleep or staying asleep, or you wake up in this toxic cloud and you're like, oh my God, my partner, I'm killing them, or what have you. You feel bad. So doing a coffee enema, or even just, in the evening time, you can just do a water enema in that respect. If you're concerned the caffeine might keep you up. But enemas in that regard are really helpful for digestive distress.
I have to say, and I'm sure my wife would appreciate this, is that I've never woken up feeling like I, I put her in a cloud. So
I have.
that's pretty funny. But I've actually I used to do my enemas right before bedtime because it's relaxing and like it helped me fall asleep faster. It never really seemed to affect my sleep, but like you said, everyone's different. So
Some people, I can do a coffee enema at night and it doesn't bother me, but I'm just kind of not really that sensitive to caffeine. Other people aren't, so you just have to do what works for you.
yeah. And then, so the like number one misconception probably about doing a coffee enema is that if you do coffee enemas on the regular, you're going to become dependent and you're not going to be able to go on your own. So do you want to just clear that up before we start finishing up here?
Yes, so this is very, very common because when people do a coffee enema, guess what? It cleans out the fecal matter from you, so you don't typically have to go to the bathroom again for a day or two. For me, it takes about 2 days before I start having a bowel movement, on my own. So if someone's doing a coffee enema every other day or every day, they're not going to the bathroom on their own, typically, not always, but typically. And so if you make that a regular habit, it is possible for you to kind of, some people might lose motility. Some people, it might take them a little while before their body kind of wakes up and like, oh, I'm going to have to do this on my own now. So that is possible for some people. Everyone's motility is different. Everyone's transit time from eating food to, going to the bathroom, having a stool movement or bowel movement is different. So, but when people do a coffee enema and don't have a bowel movement for a day or two, that's completely normal. It doesn't mean you're constipated or something's wrong. There's nothing to come out. You cleaned it out. But like I said, for the vast majority of people, they will, when they stop doing coffee enemas for whatever reason, their bowel movements will return to normal. But there's always someone on the bell curve that or they might have a little bit more trouble getting back to normal. But those people might be people that had trouble prior to doing coffee enemas having regular bowel movements. It's hard to say. Everyone's really, really different, but the majority of people are not going to have any issue whatsoever with their body working on its own and going back to normal bowel movements.
Yeah, and I can say that from my experience, I haven't had any issues. So, I mean, but the reason I started doing enemas is because I was having constipation issues. So, but they always come back, and for me, probably a lot more people too, is that the constipation issue boils down to stress. And if you're stressed out, you're just not, your digestive system and your elimination system, they're just not on. The rest of your fight or flight system is on, and so you're just not going to go.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really important. I think if you have regular constipation, it's really not good for you because you have a lot of metals and toxins and things that are in that. You don't want them reabsorbing through your colon or your rectum back into your body. So I like coffee enemas in that regard also to really help get fecal matter out of you that should not be sitting in you for a day or two. Really important to use coffee enemas in that regard also to relieve constipation.
Yeah. Okay. And so my last question does not have to be coffee enema related, but 3 practical steps that a parent can use to sort of improve their family's health.
Yes. So I think it's really important to do everything you can to get vitamins in your child. I know a lot of parents have challenges with giving their children extra nutrition, and children's diets tend to not be so amazing these days. So I think it's really important to do smoothies and to put fruit and fiber and other nutrients in there, like, vitamin supplements, mineral supplements that children may otherwise not take. So I think that's really important. And also minerals are so important to calm children down, calm down their nervous system, get them sleeping better. we need magnesium and zinc and other minerals. Kids need calcium. So that's really, really important. There's lots of great liquid supplements out there. I have a good one on my site too. It's a calcium, magnesium, zinc liquid that has a strawberry flavor that a lot of kids will take. That's really important. And also, it's really important to really develop good sleep habits. Children need more sleep than adults, and I think I can be guilty of this too, is staying up too late with my child or not putting my child to bed early enough. And so, over years, that can really shortchange them and shortchange their health. And then we've got to be paying attention to EMF and screen time and exposure to EMF. It's really damaging children's brains. The screen time's damaging their brain development. And kids also, I see this with my daughter, just watch all kinds of YouTube videos and they act really strange and they say mean things to other kids and they're just mimicking all this behavior they see on the screen. So really important. I limit my daughter's screen time a lot and have really had to discipline myself because it's just easy to have the iPad babysitter. Yeah. And if you're just like exhausted, you're like, oh, I just can't deal. Oh my God. You just want to take a minute for yourself. Yeah. But you've got to discipline yourself just because they only have one shot for their brain to develop. And so you got to maximize that as much as possible.
That's such a good little ending quote there. They only have one shot to let their brain develop.
Yeah.
But I will tell you a little trick as far as the smoothies that I've noticed. Are you familiar with the Barlean's fish oil, the omega swirls and all that?
Yes.
They are so incredibly good that no matter like what I put in the smoothie, if I just put a little squirt of the Barlean's fish oil in there, it like completely changes the flavor and my kids love it. Like I can throw, kale and arugula and all sorts of gross stuff in there and I squirt a little Barlean's mango or whatever it is, then they'll just be like, this is good.
Yeah, Barlean's is a really good brand. They have really good coconut oil and they just have really high quality products.
And it's hard for me to believe that there's actually fish oil in their products because it tastes so good.
Yeah, I love Amazing Greens chocolate. It's just an unbelievable product. It's got all these greens and nutrients and things in it and has a nice chocolate flavor. My daughter will drink that, no problem. She thinks it's chocolate milk. And so that's been really helpful for me to get extra nutrition in my child.
Interesting. Okay, so I know we're coming up on time. Do you have like a minute to talk about what you're up to and sort of your heavy metal detox program and that sort of thing?
Yeah. So if you can, check out my work at myersdetox.com and just everything related to detoxification, what works, what doesn't. And, I've developed, a program called the Myers Detox Protocol where people can work with me to do it, or they can work with one of our practitioners and, work with tens of thousands of clients to develop this program. And we also have a number of supplements that, help people dip their toe in the water to do a detox. I have a brand new all-in-one detox called Citra Cleanse. And we have more detox supplements coming out. We have a detox green juice powder coming out pretty soon that I'm super excited with, fermented broccoli sprouts and whatnot, which is the #1 detox food on the planet. So lots of cool stuff that we have going on. But more importantly, so many people are becoming more aware of heavy metals in their body and the importance of detoxing. And I created a quiz that will help people, based on a number of questions, determine the relative level of heavy metals they may have in their body. And it just takes a couple seconds. They can go to heavymetalsquiz.com. And then after taking the quiz, they'll get a free video series that tells them kind of the next steps and starts educating them about detox and the best ways to go about that. And so I just encourage people to go to heavymetalsquiz.com and learn more.
What a great URL you were able to get there. That's so easy to remember.
Yes. Yeah.
HeavyMetalsQuiz.com. And of course, if you can't remember that, I'll put it in the show notes too.
Okay,
But
great.
I'm sure you'll be able to remember. Well, Wendy, I will let you go. We're out of time here. It was such a pleasure and an honor to talk with you. Like I said, I hope I didn't get too fanboy here at the beginning, but it is. I told you before, it's kind of crazy just seeing like your set, and I'm doing
Yeah.
quotation marks here because I've been watching your videos and things for quite some time. So
Yeah.
it was
Well,
it was
thank
a
you so
little
much.
surreal to like when you
Yeah.
popped up on my screen. I was like, oh my god.
Well, that's what I do. What I do. I just want to inspire people to think more about their health, think more about adding detox to their lifestyle. That's my only goal. That's why I do this. So I'm glad I was able to inspire you to detox and start a podcast. So that's awesome.
All right, and so we'll keep in touch, and you have a great day.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.